Hello everyone, this is Tom the Shadow Face from N2S, and today I want to talk about a legend that recently left us, a man by the name of Stan Lee. Now, believe it or not, when I was a child, I used to think that Stan Lee was actually a comic character, with the way everyone talked about him like some all-powerful demigod on the same level of a living tribunal or somebody like that. And we expected, I personally expected that one day he would come up and do something magnificent with Spider-Man. It wasn't until years later when I saw him feature on the 90s animated series that I got my first good look at the man that was the legend, and I asked, is this supposed to be like the secret boss of Marvel Comics? And my close friend told me, no, stupid, that's Stan Lee, the guy who created Spider-Man, who lifted a lot of the other Marvel characters and made them famous the way we love them right now. He's a god. He's not a god in the comics, he's a god to us mortal comic geeks. Now, even as a child, the realization that this was the face of the legend blew my mind. It was just so much to believe that all the characters I loved because I really loved Spider-Man as a kid, and to find out that this was the man who created him, this was the guy behind him, not some $1 million guy with gold-plated hair or something like that, but this ordinary looking old man was the guy that created a legend. And it just blew my mind even as a child, and I think this is the reaction that most people had when they first saw him, either in the animated features or in his live action appearances. Now, this is because Stan Lee always has been and always will be an icon for anyone who has ever read a comic book, be it American comics or Japanese manga. If you had a favorite superhero, if you had your favorite toy superheroes, if you even ran around your house with a makeshift cape tied around your neck and a kitchen pot on your head like a helmet, and ran around shouting Odin's thunder or something like that, you know and you respect Stan Lee. Now, us old school comic readers learn to appreciate him through colored pages and eventually Saturday morning cartoons like the X-Men and Spider-Man animated series. The newer generation got to see his creation through video games and most recently live action movies where he made his own guest appearances. Now, with the popularity of the MCU movies and the animations that have basically flooded every single cartoon channel I can think of, everyone who has watched any of this media has seen Stan Lee at least once. I specifically remember years ago when we watched, I think it was the second Fantastic Four movie, and when Stan Lee they made a guest appearance at Sue Storm and Richard Reed's wedding. And I remember the reaction from all of us watching when we were all shouting our heads off that, whoa, that's Stan Lee. And a friend of mine asked, who is Stan Lee? Now understand, this guy has never watched has never read a comic before. He's not into comics, he's not into cartoons. But at the time, because of the popularity of the Fantastic Four and the Spider-Man trilogy, he was genuinely interested. So when I told him that that's the guy that created Spider-Man, he was like, huh? Are you serious? The Spider-Man, I said, yes, that's him. That's the guy that created him, and he's the guy that created the Fantastic Four. And he's appearing in the movie. And he was shocked. Understand, he wasn't a comic fan, but even he could understand the enormity of seeing a character like this appear in the movie. And this is the same reaction that all of us, both comic fans and non-comic fans, always get when we see him in the movies, and we understand that this is the guy responsible for some of these characters. And this guy's achievements are insane. I'm not even going to talk of his off-screen achievement. Let's talk of his on-screen achievements. Who else could survive getting punched out by Dr. Doom? Who else could give all three different Spider-Man advice plus comfortably drive the younger Spider-Man to school while New York was under attack for a second time? Who else could be bold enough to cut the golden locks of Thor, the son of Odin, and even gist in outer space with the Watchers? Who else could be so good at what he does that the very company that had rivaled his for so many decades actually put him as a guest star in their latest animated feature? But this is not to brag, but let's be honest, there's a reason why Stan Lee was known as the man. Now, I'm not going to start reciting his biography or list out his decades worth of accomplishments because, let's be honest, I could never do justice to that topic. But let's get this straight. This was a man who had a dream, who pushed it, and even during the period where the particular genre he was working on was on the brink of annihilation, on the brink of being overshadowed by another company, he stood tall and made a world that had outgrown childish things remember their childhood and love them all the same. This is a man that has accomplished what many would have believed impossible at the time. And he was old, even by our own standards. It's unusual to see anyone, even a celebrity, continue to work to such an advanced age as he did before he died. And one of our greatest joys as his fans is the fact that he lived long enough to see the fruits of his lifelong labor cross the century and the millennia and successfully transition from paper to screen, going from animated features to video games and now a colossal live action movie franchise that always hits the #1 spot whenever it's released. For him to see an entire new group of people appreciate his work is something that we are all happy for him from. And even while we, his lifelong loyal fans, stand around him and salute his name. This is a great man who affected my life and the lives of so many people I know. And I use the term is and not was, for in our minds and our hearts, he will continue to live through his work, and we will always be on the lookout, expecting to see him pop up in many more movies and many more animations and many more games to come. So this is Tom the Shadow Face from N2S. From Nigeria, Africa, I join my voice with millions of people this great man affected from all ages, all races, all nationalities, and pay homage to a man who made our childhood heroes come to life. I join you all and I say, fare thee well to Stan the Man Lee.